Park Church, so glad to have you joining me today for our midweek pastor's moment. And can't say it enough, always appreciate everyone who just takes time to tune in midweek, later in the week, and people who comment and people who thumbs up the videos. We see it all and we really appreciate you. I want to ask just a few questions. Are you not feeling like yourself? Are you feeling or have you felt that you don't measure up? Are things in your life at a breaking point? And is there a proverbial straw that you're worried about? We've all heard that saying before, the straw that broke the camel's back. Is there a straw that you're worried, you perceive, you're anxious that could come? What I'm really talking about is weakness today, and was thinking about weakness. And one of the things that I think, generally admit is people don't like to admit that they have weaknesses. Weaknesses aren't something that we talk about. They're not something that we acknowledge. When you have a job interview, they frequently ask you about your strengths. What are your strengths? And you'll say, well, my punctuality, my work ethic, my attention to detail, and my teachability. They're like, those things are great. Then they say, well, what are some of your weaknesses? Well, if I were to think about my weaknesses, it might be that I care too much. I'm constantly putting myself in front of others to the detriment of my own health. I just have this problem where I have to come into work early and work extra hours for no pay. And I'm always bringing in coffees for the entire office. These are my problems. These are my weaknesses. Not those kind of weaknesses. I'm talking about real weaknesses. Like I lack the courage to stand up for my beliefs. Emotionally, I don't feel like I have anything to give. I'm running on empty. My mind is cluttered. I can't organize my thoughts. I can't see clearly. I can't perceive what the next step is, and I'm at a stalemate. I'm at a standstill. Or how about I consistently struggle with temptation? Or I notice that my moral compass is out of sync. Or I feel like, and this was that, I don't feel like I measure up part. I don't feel like I lack the skills to accomplish what's in my heart to do or what is needed of me. I feel like I fall short. And I want to tell you that weaknesses are not something to be ashamed of, because the fact is we all have them. We all have weaknesses. And it may be that in a moment of weakness, this is, the midweek moment, and I was just kind of triggered by that. In a moment of weakness, it may be that we do crack or give in or sin. It may be that we give in to temptation. It may be that you've compromised your morals. It may be that you ran instead of standing up. It may be that you quit instead of persevering. And for believers in Christ, we understand that God does not judge us according to our moments of weakness. God doesn't hold our moments of weakness against us when we are willing to confess them, which is to admit them, which people don't do about their weaknesses. When we admit our weaknesses and we confess them, we're willing to bring them to Him. We understand that forgiveness is possible. It's a fundamental of our faith to receive forgiveness. And for the most part, I think we get this about these moments. But what about living with weakness? I think this is even more important. How do we feel when we understand these or identify these vulnerabilities that we won't be overcome? How do we stay in a position where we're not overwhelmed by our weaknesses? And I believe this is where we get some insight from the book of Hebrews. Hebrews 4:16 says, "Let us come boldly to the throne of our gracious God, where there we will receive His mercy, and we will find grace to help us when we need it most." And this is from the New Living Translation. And I really love how it phrases that. When we need it most, we'll find grace, we'll find mercy from God when we need it most, when we run to Him. The gospel teaches us that in moments of weakness that we're not helpless, we're not without direction, but we're actually told where we should go. We should run boldly to the throne of grace. We should go boldly to God when we need Him most. And we'll find that He's there. And what should we expect when we go there? We should expect mercy and we should expect grace. Should we expect that all of our weaknesses are turned to strengths? I would say no. And if we look at Paul's experience, Paul had weaknesses. Paul had a weakness that he struggled with that is unidentified. People have made a lot of assumptions as to what this weakness was. And Paul went to God continually. In fact, he says that he pleaded with the Lord regarding his weakness. And God answered Paul, and he said, my grace is all you need. What do we receive when we run to God's throne? We receive from his throne of grace, we receive mercy. So Paul was told, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. My power works best in weakness. Other translations say my power is perfected in weakness. And so Paul goes on to say, so now, having got this perspective from God, having received his answer, he says, so now I'm glad to boast about my weakness so that the power of Christ can work through me. So are Christians the people that have it all together, that are full of strength, that never struggle? No, not at all. And in fact, we're told that we have this treasure. We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that the all-surpassing power is not from me. It's not generated or motivated from within, but it comes from God. How do we maintain hope and joy and peace in the midst of sometimes overwhelming inabilities, vulnerabilities, and weaknesses? It's through the power of Christ working in us. It's not that we are without weakness. It's that when we are weak, he is strong. And a lot of times when we struggle with our weakness, we refuse to admit them or confront them because of pride. We don't want to admit that we need help. But through Christ, when we confess that we need him, it's then we find an answer. It's only when we're willing to confront them and admit that we need help that we receive from him. And it's then that we're endowed with strength. When I say, God, I'm weak, then we're endowed with strength. It's when we come to God with our temptations that we find the power to say no to temptation. We find the power to finish the race. We see the ability to look clearly at what's ahead and understand the good that God has, because in all things God works. And so don't expect strength, accept weakness. Weakness and humility are co-pilots, and we know that we are to be humble. Humility draws us close to God, and when we draw close to God, James promises that he draws close to us. Humility increases our dependence on God. Humility puts to death the flesh that we might depend and then draw on the Holy Spirit. If we want to live lives full of the Spirit, we have to learn to embrace our weakness and accept the power of God that he wants to flow through our lives. Not that we could all of a sudden have it all together because all of our weaknesses have been turned into strength, but know that we would embrace the areas that were weak, that were vulnerable, that were helpless, so that the power of God might flow mightily through us. And in those situations, church, that's where God receives glory. He receives glory when people see that it is not what we can do for ourselves, but it's what God can do through us. So don't expect strength, accept weakness. And let God mightily use you and give you confidence and give you hope and allow you to cast aside that straw that you're worried is going to break the camel's back, because even in those times when we run to God, he will strengthen us. And so I hope you can be encouraged by that today. And for those that are feeling weak, then let God strengthen you, and I'll be praying for you. A couple of announcements before I let you go for the evening. This is our last midweek moment in June, and school's finished in Elk Island yesterday. And so school is out for the summer. I won't sing the song for you, but it's an exciting time for families, and we're really excited for maybe a vacation that you have planned this summer. And so we would just say and encourage you to keep up with where we're going this summer on our YouTube channel and through some podcasts that are going to be coming up soon, because we actually have an exciting new series starting on Sunday that's going to carry us through the entire summer. We are going to be spending the summer, 10 weeks, looking at the life of David. And there's going to be many areas of David's life and seasons he was in and things he went through that I believe we're going to draw a lot of hope and inspiration from, and things that are going to challenge us. So we'll be going through the life of David through the summer starting this week. And so I don't want you to miss that. I want to thank everybody who came out and supported our food truck frenzy last week after the service. The food trucks were awesome. I think our kids sampled at least 4 of the many trucks that were there, and hopefully you got a chance to as well. And we hope to do that again in another occasion, and just provide an opportunity for fellowship together. Pastor Kayla has had a number of ice cream stops planned, and she has space available. So if you're a family of small children and you'd like Pastor Kayla to stop by your place and just spend time with your young one and bring ice cream, you can follow the links on our website and have her show up at your home this summer. You may have noticed last week that our container was delivered that we plan to send to Malawi later this year. And we were just holding off because we wanted to get you the most succinct list of items that are being requested. You'll find them below in the email, but if you're not on the email and you've just clicked on this link, we are looking for garden tools and woodworking tools, first aid supplies, craft supplies, soccer balls, which, will need pumps, anything to play soccer, cleats, jerseys, pennies, pylons, all those types of things, blankets, clothes that are in good condition. Keep in mind the climate and the culture. So we want clothes and, again, shoes of all kinds that are in good condition. Don't just give us your lawn cutting shoes, men. There are also places where you can pick up new and gently used shoes, and so we're collecting those. And then they're looking for items for coloring soap, which is one of the businesses that Jordan runs there. We already have made arrangements for the Prairie Gleaners, again, to provide us with over 3,000 bags of soup mix, which were greatly needed, and we sent last time we sent our container. There's some other medical items and some other arrangements that Jordan has made for furniture and some other items to fill the container. So we really do ask for your partnership in providing these items. And as well, if bringing items is not your cup of tea, we will need to raise $15,000 to ship this container, around that much. And so we would just encourage you to partner with us in doing that. And if you go on Tithely, you'll notice that a drop-down menu, we have Malawi Container Project, and you can give directly to that fund. And we so appreciate you for it. Church, there's another exciting opportunity coming up this summer. And looking at already the road ahead, I know school just ended, but back to school is around the corner. And back to school can be stressful. It can be stressful time in the lives of families. And we want to provide some relief for families in the fall. And one of the ways we want to do that is by providing a school supply drive for our community. We'll be reaching out to a number of organizations that work with newcomers to Canada, those in social services, single parents, all these types of people that really could benefit from receiving school supplies for their young one. It's very expensive to send your kids back to school. Lots of supplies and shoes and all those sorts of things. So we're going to have a supply drive, and we're going to be collecting all the school supplies in order to have an opportunity for kids to come, get a brand new backpack, and fill their bag with all the supplies they need for school. We hope to provide an opportunity for them to get new shoes should they need them. And if you're a hairdresser or a barber, kids need to go back to school with a fresh fade, a new haircut, and we'd also like to provide that as well. This is one of the ways we want to reach out to our community directly. Park Church, we want to meet the needs of the people that are our next door neighbors and perhaps people that could benefit from this as well. So we'll be putting out supply lists for items that you can collect. You can give directly to this, and we'll collect those items as well. We'll be looking for backpacks, shoes, all those sorts of things. And the date for distribution is going to be August the 14th. So on August the 14th, we're going to have the church open in the evening, and we're going to invite people to come and get school supplies. And so I really look forward to that. I'm very excited about it. We have a great opportunity as well right now to send kids to camp. Our camp in Sylvan happening next week has openings, and Shiloh Youth Ranch has a waiting list. And so if you'd like to send one of these kids on Shiloh's waiting list to our 5 days of camp in Sylvan Lake, it's $225, and you can send a kid to camp. Please contact our office. You can call 780-467-6788 tomorrow, or text info or email info@theparkchurch.ca, and we will let them know that we will be sending additional kids to camp. The church is already committed to sending at least 4 kids on their waiting list to camp, but I hope that we can send many more and fill the camp up. They have about 60 spaces available, so they have all the teachers, all the supplies they need. They just need the kids. So Park Church, let's make that happen. We love you, Park Church. We hope to see you as much as possible this summer. Have a safe summer together, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great night.